Am I audible? Okay, thank you, Taylor. Hello, everyone. I'm Saran, product manager of this Zoho Creator. So I'm going to get into the next thing, day two. When you talk about day two of this workshop, it's going to be Deluge. What I mean by Deluge? How many of you here knows what is Deluge? Quite a few? 4, 5? Okay. So this session is going to be what is Deluge and why you need Deluge, right? So that's going to be the point I'm going to stress in this session, and then move on to the day two, where we'll talk about how to get started with Deluge as such, right? So that's the overall thing for the next day. Let's move on. So Deluge is typically, as Vivek stated, right? So whatever you do, that is a thing which is running back in. So here there is something called interface layer. At the back there is something called code layer. So what I mean by code? Code is typically a program where you write some stuff to make sure it's all running, right? So whatever you're seeing in the Zoho Creator, we have put a lot of effort, a lot of engineering stuff, a lot of programming languages to make sure it's running smoothly, right? That level of customization is available. So we are creating a product called Zoho Creator, or like any other services out in the cloud. So we need some level of programming skill where you can customize your application into a next level. The agenda of Creator is to build custom application, right? So you need more customization. So that's where we want to bring in Deluge. So we need to expose the code to you guys, the end users, but you don't worry about understanding what is code, what is a syntax. There are so many other things you need to worry about. So we will abstract all this stuff, and still you write a code on at the back, right? Let's see a few examples. So really what you see is this. When you drag and drop a field, there's a field created, there is a form where you put an entry, all the data has been stored. So there are so many other stuffs go at the back end. And we'll expose one layer of code to you guys so that you can customize your application to the next level. That's an idea of Deluge. So at the back end, we'll generate this. On your right, you see something called Deluge script. We call this stuff is Deluge. So if we can relate to this, there is something called email here. When you drag and drop a field called email, that particular field has been created here as well, right? So let me get back to the application. So we create an application called Western registration application, right? So when you click on that application, you don't want to see it in your system, you can follow this in the presentation itself. Let me click on the visitor sign-in, right? This is the form we created today morning. Let's see what is in the backend. So when you click on something called workflow here, that's the stuff we hidden to you, where all the code has been generated at the back and be available here to you guys to customize. When I click on the workflow, this is the builder, this is the magic which we're going to see tomorrow, right? There is something called form definition. This is the definition which shows all the code you do. Let me show this. I zoom it. Stress it out, okay. So all this stuff has been generated automatically. All these things will be exposed in a Deluge where you can customize into the next level, right? We have done a couple of checks here, right? See something called unique phone number. What does it mean? It means no duplicate, right? We've done a checkbox saying like no duplicate, right? All this being captured in the code. What it mean to you? Why I'm saying this? Why I'm talking about all this code and stuff like this, right? So let's see another example as well. There is something which we did. What is this? Can someone understand what is this? we did something called, when the purpose of visit is business, show the field terms and conditions, right? So all this has been replicated as a code, replicated as a programming language called Deluge, right? We use this as a backend to execute our whole application. So we are exposing the set of things to you guys as well, so that you can customize it in any way you want, right? That's our idea of Deluge. Let me get back to the presentation. So why Deluge? There are so many languages outside. Does anyone know what are the languages here? Have you been familiar with any of these languages? Right. All these are like high-level programming language, right? There are C++, C. Even before people were born here, like there were like so many other languages out there, right? So why we invented a programming language on our own? The idea is to bridge the gap between the data and your business logic. So when you build a custom application, you're typically doing two things. You're collecting data, you're implementing a workflow. Typically, you are implementing a business logic in it, right? So how to talk between this data and business logic? We're abstracting things. You don't worry about all this stuff. We're exposing something called Deluge, where when you talk to it, it talks to the data directly. Don't worry about the stuff which are backend, right? There are so many other things at the backend. I don't want to talk about each one of it, right? So how many of you are here are from an IT background? So do you know how to create a form like this in any programming language? Any one of you can explain that? Art? That reaction itself says like how hard it is. So there are so many things at the back, right, to get a application running. So all this has been abstracted. Right? Just focus on the business logic and the data you need to collect. Right? All this has been abstracted. Right? The next thing is we want to make it easy. When you take, we have experimented with many languages. And that doesn't actually speaks to the business logic. You need to worry about so many other things. You need to worry about scalability. What I mean by scalability. When you get an order of, when you consider you are an SMB, right? You have an order management software in your application, right? You're getting an orders of around thousands in a day. Consider you're getting an orders of 1 million in a day, right? In Creator, luckily, whatever you written here, it will scale for 1,000 records, it will scale for 1 million records, it can scale for billion as well, right? That's an idea of Creator. So you don't worry about any other stuff, right? We'll make sure everything scales to the business. So when your business grows, you don't want to worry about the application as such. Add more stuff to it, we'll take care of it. That's the idea of creating our own language. Another thing is, as I stated, so many other things. You know what is security? Anyone can explain what is security? Want to? Okay. It's nothing but, so I stored some data outside, right? You're storing the data in cloud. It should be safe enough, right? It should not be exposed to. Your business data is available with us. It should not be exposed to anyone else, right? When you build an application, you have to make sure all this has been secure so that it's not being exposed to your competitor or to anyone else, right? All this stuff has been taken care by us, right? That's the thing, that's the reason we have built our language, built Zoho Creator as such. It takes care of all this together. Don't worry about anything else. Let's see what is this. So as I stated, languages has to take care of all this set. There's so many other things. I've listed a few here. So Deluge helps you to focus on just the business logic, right? Business logic is more important to your business. So just focus on that. Okay. Yep, I've done this as well, right? So, so here, let's see let's move on to the second part of the presentation, where we're going to see how Deluge helps you to build a better application, how actually Deluge helps Zoho Creator applications, right? It helps in automation. It helps in automating your application. It helps you to integrate with your existing solutions. Could be like a QuickBooks. It could be like a Salesforce. It could be like a SAP or Active Directory. You can talk to anything. So that's an idea of the creator. So Deluge helps us to integrate with any solutions, any existing solutions, or the new solutions you have. So all this can be possible, just possible mainly because we have Deluge, right? You don't want to worry about anything else. So just write a couple of lines of code in Deluge, everything's been integrated. So that's with integration. There is something called schedules. Think of, you want to send a monthly sales report to your CEO or someone, right? So each and every time you need to export that report as a PDF or as an image and put it in your email, and then you need to send it to your boss, right? I've been doing that for many times. So we learn ourselves. So we use this application internally, like most of the cases, we use this application internally. So we want to make sure all the stuff we use in Zoho, we use all the Zoho products we built on. So we use Zoho, right? We are proud to say that we use all our applications, right? So I personally face this problem. So after this feature, people started using this to reduce the manual works, right? So you can automate or send monthly report or send any action without a manual intervention. So that's the thing with scheduling. And then customization. So I'll show you a few screens of each one of this part, and I'll talk about the customization later so that we'll see it in a real time, right? So let's take few examples in each one of this. Let's take automation first. So these are the things we've seen today, right? We have seen sending a greeting to an email, greeting to the visitor, and inform the employee about the visitor, or we show and hide the terms and conditions based on the purpose of the visit, right? This is also called an automation, right? It does that using automation section, right? So what I mean by Deluge automation, it gives you more flexibility. Think of this example. Automatically assign a sales rep based on a region the customer comes in, right? How to do that? Take another example. Set a deadline date of a deal, right? Or a order, right? Take another example. Validate and update the inventory information, right? All this needs a lot of work, right? When you get into it deep, you need to check, consider this case. You need to get into the inventory information whenever an order is made, check whether the inventory is available or not, the particular product is available or not, and based on that, allow the user to make an order. And when the order has been made, you need to update the availability in the inventory as well, right? So all this stuff you cannot achieve in a UI, right? So that's a problem with user interface. By UI I meant user interface. Whatever you are interacting with is called user interface. So that's the reason we want Deluge. Let's see this example in real time. Okay, let me play it again and then slow it down. So I'm filling up the name and the email address. I'm choosing the pizza type and the size. If you notice, I haven't typed the price as such, right? I selected the pizza type and the pizza size. It automatically fills the price, right? And again, when I set the quantity, it fills the total automatically, right? All this stuff. And again, when I click on submit, it shows We cannot proceed with the order. We have only 7 burger cups, pizza or something, right? So all this stuff has been built using Deluge. So we're going to see this same example and see how to build this stuff, and we will see like few more tweaks on this where you can fit this particular logic in your business as well. So that's the day 2. We're going to see this particular example, build all this, make sure you guys understand this. To be frank, all this stuff took like 4 or 5 lines of Deluge code. So we're going to see those lines of code, how easy it is, at the same time how powerful it is. That's a thing about automation. Let's move on to the next set. So this is the reason I gave, right? Why the user interface cannot fit into all kind of automations. Right? These are the few things, right? You can figure out more on this as well. Let's move on to the integrations. Calculate sales commission when a sales closed in a CRM solution. Right? Think of you're taking a order in Creator, you're already maintaining a CRM solution like Zoho CRM, could be Salesforce or something else. When an order has been made here, you want to provide a sales commission to the actual sales rep in your CRM solution. How to do that? So Creator helps you to do that. Right? Similarly, cancel orders using SMS or a text message. Think of a scenario where your customers can send an SMS stating, "This is my order ID," and with the text as cancel, receive that message and automatically cancel the order. How is that possible? It's all possible using Deluge, right? Obviously, you need to write 10 lines of code, but that's an easier job, right? Instead of talking to or pay more money to get this done, right? So that's the power of Deluge. Then the third scenario here is capture orders in Creator. Typically, send an invoice using like your invoicing software like QuickBooks or Zoho or something, right? So that's another scenario. So all possible again with Deluge. With the Deluge and Zoho Creator, we're proud to call this as an integration platform where it bridges between the applications you use right now, right? So the existing systems you use for your business. So that's Deluge, and it's going to help us in do a lot of integrations. These are the few integrations which you can find, or you can do it in Creator with Deluge. With that, I'm going to move on to the third section. The third section is scheduling. So what is scheduling? As I mentioned earlier, it can create tasks or like actions, time-based actions. It can run once or periodically without any manual intervention. Right? Example, send a sales report monthly, right? Again, the time can be a fixed date and time or based on a form data. Think of a case, let's take the same example, order management. When you take an order, so think of you need to deliver the order in 10 days time, right? And you need to remind the sales rep or a delivery guy saying that you need to make sure the particular order has been delivered to the customer 2 days before. So you need to remind the delivery guy along with the sales guy to do it. You need to get the data from the form and then map it to the scheduling. So that's where you'll use the form field. This is one example where you can alert the representative when a project nears a deadline, right? So that's the case I've mentioned now. Another case is send periodic sales report. There's so many other cases. I listed a few here. Periodically notify if the capacity reaches the threshold, right? So this example, we're going to see it tomorrow as well. So each one of this area, we're going to pick few examples and see it tomorrow. So this graphic show you like what actual scheduling is. All the things which you do in the what to do section is called deluge task. You'll map a time, you'll do some actions. That actions are called deluge or like deluge task. So next, get into customization. People here have been using application from the beginning of this day, right? There were like two interfaces. Have you ever tried an application? I mean, few has application like this. Let me get into this. Sorry. So how many of you have this page? When you build the visitor management, how many of you here has this page? This UI as such? Just 5 to 10? Okay. There is something called try new version where you can get access to it. Most of you here will has this. Most of you here has an access to this interface. Right? All this is possible mainly because we have a deluge at the back end where you can change it from any level to any level. Right? So we are moving towards this direction. We are building many pages or customization. You can do it using deluge. So the one thing I'm going to show here is, so think of this page. Right? This is a garage report where all the vehicles and the based on like what the status of each vehicle is, right? And it comes to the garage. It's a larger scale garage center, not a smaller one, obviously. So that's a report. This kind of report, you can do it using deluge. And think of this. Right? Think of another one. Another one. So all this is possible mainly because we have deluge as the backend. Right? We can customize in any level we want. Right now, all this customization is possible mainly because deluge with a combination of HTML. Right? How many of you, as most of them are like not familiar with HTML? HTML is a language to represent the actual things which you see in the browser. Any page we visit in your browser, everything is rendered from HTML. Right? So you need to have a little bit of learning curve on this. You need to learn HTML as well as deluge to do such a pages. So when you get into day 3, we'll be showcasing a new builder we are releasing on this Zoho event, in which all this you can build it without a single line of code. That's an idea we are moving towards, where simplify the deluge itself. Right? You don't want to build. I myself want like a couple of pages like this. I need to put a lot of effort on the HTML. I need to know HTML syntaxes to get this done. Right? We are abstracting that as well. So be there on day 3 as well. In my session, what's new? I'm going to showcase how to build similar dashboards using new page builder. So, this is the one which is built on new page builder. So we are moving towards this case. You don't worry about the design, how it looks, and how it renders in multiple devices as well. We take care of all this stuff. We'll work on the design elements. You just choose which fits to your business. Pick that one. We'll make sure it works. Again, this is also comes from deluge. You don't want to write a single line of code to get this done. So that's the idea of page builder. So to recap, so deluge helps you to do automation, integration, scheduling, and customization. So to do all this, you need to learn deluge, right? That's a day 2 for you. And if you have time, so again, it's like running up, right? So if you have time, when you get back, try to visit this particular URL. It's created at zoho.com/. learn Deluge. No space in between, right? So get to this URL. You can at least see the flavor of Deluge. So it has a walkthrough. You can go along with that and learn few things. Even a non-programmer can achieve that, right? So that's an idea of Learn Deluge. If you get a time, do it. I promise you guys, if you go with this, tomorrow will be like much easier for you, right? So with that, I'm going to summarize on what are the things we're going to see tomorrow. Getting into the basics, getting into Deluge deeper, and do some automations, custom actions, and scheduling. We're not getting into integrations and page customization tomorrow because it's going to be a long day. With that, I'm going to end my session. Any questions? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So as Saran said, does anybody have any questions or concerns about learning Deluge or about anything that he's talked about or the kind of direction for day 2 tomorrow? Anything?
Yep. Okay. So we will be available here in the reception as well. So Taylor will let you know on those details. Thank you.